Since I was young, I have been bullied and bullied. What can I do? Now, I am still waiting for the young man who has been waiting for me for 3 years, supernatural. Ghost, in past and present lives, he said, in this and present lives, we will all find you forever. That's why I waited for 6 years. I really want to give up. I hope a miracle will happen. The male protagonist's soul has been by my side for 9 years, and then disappeared. What's going on? Female powerhouse+supernatural+cross soul+ancient spirit monster+road crazy+group pet+sadistic+tragic. Chapter 1. Waiting for 3 years and 3 years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This life. Eternal life. I want to find you. Schwa, I suddenly stood up and glanced at the phone next to me, which showed 4:40 a.m., my expression was slightly solemn, and then came again. With this sentence, forget about this life, and give me some eternal life. Nima, have you made me wait for 6 years? Sorry, young man in my dream. Then he smiled, feeling that he was really cute and silly. There are still 22 days left until the Chinese New Year. Looking back on my experiences 6 years ago and now, I can't help but marvel at how time flies. Every year at this time, this sentence always appears in my dreams, and there is another one that I still don't understand. Another dream is that since I was 12 years old, I have been bullied since I was young. Because in school, my family may not be well off, and I may not be good looking. I often wear clothes sent by others, and my teachers may not like them. It may be ironic to say, but now I live in my former junior high school, and my family has moved to junior high school due to some things. At the age of 12, when I returned home from school and finished dinner, it was almost 10 o'clock. After finishing my homework, I heard my mother call me to go wash and sleep quickly. I agreed and happily took my small toothbrush and cup, filled them with water, and went out to wash. In a rural area of Guizhou, in 2021, there were usually no wash basins in many rural areas. My home was still a small bungalow on the first floor, so I ran out of the house and washed in the yard. Wash, brush, I want my teeth to be white, and the little worm teeth are far away from me. Just as I was brushing my teeth vigorously, a cool and gentle breeze suddenly blew in, making my back numb. It would be early September, and the wind was normal, but I inexplicably felt very scared. Although I have yin and yang eyes and often see those things, it's strange to say that they are only 3 meters away from me, basically just in a wandering state, and they don't get too close to me. Now, it feels like I'm carrying them on my back, and my back feels a bit numb and heavy. The first time I encountered this situation, I was so scared that I couldn't move. However, my curiosity also drove me to turn my head and look back. If I didn't look, it was okay. At first glance, it almost scared me out of my soul because I turned my head and there was a girl standing under the eaves of a neighbor's house not far away, who was almost the same age as me. However, the girl was wearing a red wedding dress with golden dragon and phoenix embroidery on it, a phoenix crown on her head, a red scarf on her face, and some golden dragon and phoenix patterns embroidered on it. She also wore a pair of red satin embroidered shoes under her feet. This scene would definitely look joyful when getting married, but it's the current scene. The gentle breeze lifted the veil, revealing a pale face below. My gaze was cold and straight at my side, and when I turned around, my gaze also met mine. Looking at the bride as big as me, combined with her cold and pale face, I screamed in fear. Oh my goodness! I threw my toothbrush out, turned around, and ran into the house. Strange to say, I let out a scream, and the heaviness on my back disappeared inexplicably. I risked my life to run back home. When my mother heard my screams, she asked me what was wrong as soon as I entered the door. I told her about seeing the bride. She knew I had these eyes, but she was still young at that time. She often asked me not to say anything in front of others, because many people wouldn't believe it. Moreover, some may treat you as a lunatic. In the past, when I met these ghosts, I once told her that there was a little boy wearing a red dress next door, and the other children said they didn't see me. They said they didn't see me, and I used to. From time to time, my mind was not very good and slowly left me. I cried and asked my mother, who also explained this to me. Later, I was also relieved, but I still wondered why my eyes could see these things. Later on, because my family was poor, when I went out to play, I was often scolded by nearby friends. I was a bad kid who deceived people and had a mental illness. I never told anyone else about it again. Later on, when I encountered this, I treated my mother as a good friend and she patiently comforted me. Of course, I am still very grateful for having a good mother, who has always believed in me since childhood. However, regarding the bride situation, I observed her every night afterwards. After dark, the girl gradually showed a transparent state. Except for the day when I saw her and met her gaze, even if I deliberately looked at her from afar, she was still standing quietly under the eaves. At that time, I had bold ideas, but now it feels a bit funny to think about it. After all, apart from having a yin and yang eye, I was a little kid who didn't know anything else. I was bullied at school during the day and had to see these wandering souls when I came back at night. I think I was just idle. But later, since I looked at the girl, every year, as the new year approached, I had a dream on January 14th, or the 14th after the year. At first, it was January 14th after I looked at the girl. That night, I just washed my clothes and went to bed. As soon as I fell into bed, I found myself dizzy and cracked. Then my whole body could not move, my head became more dizzy, my hands and feet were tied, and I felt that my body was being carried by someone. In a moment, I was suddenly pressed by two strange people to the dresser with the words of joy. There were various hairpins and costumes on the dresser. Ornaments, however, the mirror on the stage is an ancient bronze mirror, but now it reflects the person who pressed me. Two people, since they are paper people, two red powder blusher are painted on their pale faces, and their blood-red lips are slightly raised at this time, which immediately makes me tremble and want to break free from the shackles, but they can't move any more. Their hands and feet seem to be set in a dead spot. No matter how hard I struggle, it will not help. As I tried to break free, it was useless. I had to listen to the fate of God. The two paper men picked up something on the table and smeared it on my face. They soon painted my face white. Then they used the ancient rouge powder to paint my makeup. I in the bronze mirror was no different from the two paper men. My white face was added with a large circle of powder blusher, and my mouth was smeared with bright red. The assassins also looked like me. Then they put on my wedding dress and embroidered shoes. When I didn't respond, they directly covered me with red. The head cover lifted me out of the door and gently stuffed me into a pet. After being stuffed into the sedan chair, it was carried and moved by them, and I don't know exactly where to carry me. I can only let them control me. The paper people carried me for about 4 or 5 minutes, and as I sat in the sedan chair, my front view was blocked by the cover. However, occasionally a few gusts of wind blew open the corners of the cover, making my body obviously unable to move. However, my eyes could roll around. Taking advantage of the wind blowing open the curtains of the sedan chair, I glanced out and saw paper people waiting on both sides in front of the sedan chair. I thought to myself, this is different from what I see on TV. I am now being a bride, but there is no movement outside, so they quietly carried me away. What's going on, being put on makeup for no reason? Wearing wedding clothes. Being carried away. I'm only 12 years old. Obviously, curiosity had already taken over my fear at this moment. Just as I was still pondering the situation, the sedan chair outside suddenly fell to the ground with a bang sound. I was shaken back to my senses by this sound and realized that my body could move now. I quickly pulled off the cover and walked out of the sedan chair, and the sight left me unforgettable even now. In the gloomy night, round paper money fluttered in the sky, and occasional gusts of wind blew. Although the sedan chair was red, it looked eerie and terrifying when compared to these paper money. But at that moment, I felt as if driven by curiosity, forgetting my fear, and began to search for something. I circled around the sedan chair, and the paper people carrying me disappeared. When I was still curious about what was going on, a white light pulled me in directly. Later, when I woke up, I found my face cold and cold. With a touch of my hand, the white thing suddenly stained my hand, which shocked me to the point where I couldn't speak. I could only tremble and look at the white powder in my hand. Later on, I would have this dream at the beginning or after each year, but every time the paper people only carried me to the position where the sedan chair landed for the first time, and then disappeared without a trace. I gradually realized that someone was saving me, because it was that young man. I stared blankly at the time on my phone. At 4:48, I slowly regained my senses from my previous memories. Do I have to continue waiting? Chapter 2. I went to school and found out that I really had a connection with number 444. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. Returning home, strange and strange youth. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. Going home, a little doll falls from the sky. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. This life, this life. We will find you forever. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. Blood Mist Diffused. Duck Spirit Monster. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Human Nature, Her Choices. You are listening at novel full.audio. Fate. Fate. At this moment, a terrifying mist was floating both inside and outside the dormitory. Little stuttering blocked me from the illusion while shouting, but the duck-headed monster across from me was still using the smoke to force the people in the dormitory into a terrifying illusion. How disgusting. As blood mist filled the entire bathroom, the little girl who had just giggled disappeared without a trace, leaving only her stomach in turmoil. I stood on the stairs. What should I do? At this moment, my mind was in a mess and I couldn't think of any way to deal with the situation. Just as I was at a loss, a silver bell-like sound suddenly came to my mind, follow this line forward. Before I could finish speaking, a red line with a faint red light appeared in front of me, stretching out from the blood mist. Looking at the duck still vomiting under my feet, I couldn't help but feel a bit pitiful, but at the same time, I also felt that the scene was disgusting. I had been vomiting all along, and the current situation couldn't make me think too much. This was the second time I had encountered this situation. I forced myself to calm down. If I had solved the current situation, I might never be able to go back. Suddenly, my mind was frightened by such thoughts, but now there was no other way. As for whether the voice in my mind could be trusted to the bottom, I could only bet that there was any danger ahead that was always better than pausing in place. Okay. Bet once, I thought to myself, and then I reached out and held the red line, slowly walking down the steps. After all, the haze was very heavy at this time, and the line extended to the opposite side. If you want to get to the opposite side, you must walk down. I resisted my nausea and stepped into the pool step by step. As soon as stepped into the pool, although the water had already been drained before, there were still those parts left on the ground. As soon as I stepped on them, I felt a disgusting sensation that was indescribable, but I couldn't get out without it. I tried to hold back again. Suddenly closing his eyes, he ran wildly along the string, until he ran out of the bloody and foggy bathroom. When I opened my eyes, another eerie sight once again shook me. The darkness that came into view was boundless, and then a little red light suddenly shone in front of me, shining in front of me. Wet water flowed on the ground. I was also attracted by this light. At this moment, outside, the little stutter is still holding on to the barrier, blaming himself for coming too hastily. His current strength is completely unable to resist the little spirit in front of him. Damn it, he is only in a state of residual soul, and his ability is even weaker. How can he protect her like this? Where is this sister with a beautiful voice in her mind? I walked towards the light spot and asked for the voice in my mind again. However, now it was completely silent. She didn't answer me, and I felt a little flustered. I regretted my recent behavior and thought so confidently about taking a step. Now that I'm good, I might be stepping from another trap to another. There she is. Just as I was feeling frustrated, the voice of the girl from the bathroom window came from behind. Upon hearing the sound, I turned my head and looked back. I leaned in. At this moment, two ducks with blood and flesh blurry, and a few pieces of red and rotten flesh falling from my hand bones were rushing towards me. I wanted to avoid them, but they were so fast that I couldn't react in time. Suddenly, I collided with them, and the speed visible to the naked eye only saw them slowly merging with me. Brother, this is really a good container. The legendary container has been taken over by us, it's really a gift from heaven. The girl said excitedly with her crooked mouth, while the boy remained silent without any expression. As I watched them almost merge with me, suddenly a picture flashed through my mind again. A girl wearing a red robe couldn't see her face clearly, but the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. Then my head became increasingly dizzy, and I felt the scene spinning wildly from all directions. See how long you, this little soul, can last. Ha ha ha, this girl is really good material. In fact, from the moment you stepped into the food city, I have been paying attention. It's really amazing, it's a godsend. After that, the duck spirit monster dispersed the smoke again, and he wanted to turn the entire school into his control, and also let these despicable humans try to suffer. Just as he was thinking about it, a sudden burst of red light erupted from the opposite side, directly piercing his heart and causing him to fall to the ground. When he was momentarily hit by pain and regained some consciousness, he trembled and touched the large hole pierced by the red light. At this moment, he couldn't help feeling scared. What was going on? Did the children fail? At that time, after the rotation, the siblings were instantly burned by the flames that appeared on my body and quickly escaped. The siblings looked at the person in front of them in terror with cold eyes, and a faint flower-shaped outline appeared on their left cheek. Their whole bodies began to be covered with terrifying force. The two siblings were instantly hit by the red light again, and were suddenly thrown out, hitting the duck body outside. Little Stubba had just realized from her surprise that it was only the people around her who had caused it. When she turned around, she saw the person in front of her. At this moment, her whole body was covered with red spiritual power, and a faint pattern appeared on her face. Little Stubba's heart was very complicated and excited. She was the person she was looking for, not wrong. After so many years, she finally reincarnated and lived to the present day. Then, she was afraid that after her awakening, those people would reappear and cause chaos. I also wanted her to be an ordinary girl and accompany her through this ordinary life, but the patterns that reappeared made him realize that it was impossible. Underworld flowers bloom, reincarnation takes place, non-human things, 1,000 lamps extradite souls and reincarnation enters, the underworld path quietly rests and returns to the mortal realm. This place no longer belongs to you, go back and accept punishment. Before the words could be finished, the girl in front of her collapsed to the ground. The duck spirit thought she had died this time, and then she wanted to escape with her two children. 36 strategies were the best strategy. Just as she got up and wanted to fly out of the dormitory window, she clanged and was bounced back by the barrier. At that time, in the illusion, my head was dizzy and a beam of light shone on me again. Suddenly, I came to a narrow place and lay down. I hurriedly searched everywhere with my hands, then touched a wooden board that could be opened, pushed hard, and sat up. What caught my eye was a sea of red flowers, while I got up from a red coffin. This strange scene scared me so much that I quickly crawled out of the coffin and stepped on the flowers. However, when I stepped on the flowers, they gradually changed from the initial red color to a holy white color. Turning his head, he glanced at the coffin behind him. On the red coffin, there were equally red flowers carved, each one lifelike, as if a real flower was blooming on it. Why is this coffin so familiar? I couldn't help but sigh, as if I had seen it before. After speaking, I couldn't help but reach out and touch it. In no time, red blood began to seep out from the bottom of the coffin, spreading rapidly throughout the white flower sea. In the following scene, the white flowers turned into a bright red color again. Then, the coffin board suddenly covered it, and my brain was not enough now. "Let me go out, let me go out," I shouted as I vigorously moved the coffin board. I exerted all my strength to eat milk, and the coffin board remained motionless. However, at this moment, I was really on the brink of collapse, moving hard. Seeing the coffin board still standing still, I was so tired that I knelt down in front of the coffin. Just as I was about to give up, the board suddenly loosened. The looseness of the coffin board made me feel like a divine arrival, because I woke up from this broken thing, so maybe I could go back again. After the last time when I didn't dare to act recklessly and run around, just as I looked saved, I was ecstatic and opened the board. The scene inside suddenly made me bolt from the blue. I found a beautiful girl lying inside. Her appearance is lifelike, she looks like she's asleep. The eyebrows were like emerald feathers, and the slightly curled eyelashes gently covered her eyelids. However, the girl had a faint red pattern on her left face, her skin was as white as snow and her lips were red. She was wearing red ancient-style clothes, but her feet were bare. She wore a delicate and small flower wreath woven from the blooming flowers on the ground at her ankles. The girl also wore a strange flower decoration on her neck, with red nails painted on her nails, which was strange and beautiful. However, when I observed carefully, I also discovered some strange things. Her body seemed to be carefully preserved in the coffin, as if sealed inside and unable to leave, and she seemed to have some mysterious power on her body. As I watched her, her temples suddenly began to ache violently again. In the girl's hands, there seemed to be something, and I held on to the pain that was about to explode, extending my body towards the girl's hand. In an instant, I returned to the real dormitory and saw myself lifting my hand again to kill the duck in front of me. I tried my best to snatch my body back again. The scene of the duck spirit lying on the ground just now appeared. At this moment, the duck spirit was holding two pitiful little ducks and crying, "Why are you humans eating our flesh so recklessly? Even if you want to eat it, give us a happy death." The principle is that the duck spirit is composed of many dead duck souls, and the two little ducks were cruelly slaughtered and thrown into the stinky ditch by humans when they were a few months old. Watching the scene of them crying and hugging each other, I couldn't refute anything. I, including myself, had also eaten duck meat, but there were some abnormal and inhumane practices. At this moment, they probably didn't want to be killed again, but they couldn't escape. They closed their eyes and waited for death to come again. I cannot deny the cruelty of humanity, but can I help you a little? After speaking, I stood up, and the little stutter waited quietly beside me. The duck spirit saw this and said angrily, "How can you help me?" She hugged the two children tightly, afraid of being hurt again. The girl struggled to hold her body and walked towards them, slowly reaching out her hand and gently caressing the two ducklings. In an instant, the wounds on the ducklings healed. They were originally just spirits born of resentment, and it was not easy to maintain their human appearance. After the girl's touch, they felt that their bodies' resentment seemed to be dispersed without a trace, and their bodies could once again maintain the appearance of human children. The mother of the duck spirit was greatly shocked. She just wanted two ducklings to be reincarnated and have a better baby, and they didn't do anything wrong. When she saw this girl, she was also shocked and didn't expect it to actually appear, so she had the plan to take her body. But now she looked at the two happy children and couldn't help but cry. After their spiritual power, the girl collapsed on her lap. Chapter 8. Ghost House Incident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Previously, I could actually learn from the person who occupied my body and then send the duck spirit and the others to the underworld, but after thinking about it, I didn't do that, it was just that. We are finally coming back to life, brother. It doesn't take any effort to get it. The girl said, laughing happily. Although she didn't accept the plan when her mother gave it, she and her brother risked it to try it out and become human. And as they were about to merge with me, they saw their memories, being feathered by humans and thrown alive into the microwave. Watching them jump inside and burn red duck feet, they were only a month old. Their small bodies were scorched by the rising temperature in the microwave, and gradually, as the temperature rose, they didn't understand why humans were so cruel. Although they were just animals that could be slaughtered by humans, please give them a happy way to die. But these people laughed outside as if watching a clown perform, and their ugly smiles were so revealing to the fullest. Seeing this scene, it is true, but the ugliness of human nature is not far from here, so I saw their memories at that time and made that decision later. The smoke emitted by the duck spirit mother would make the roommates fall asleep. It was also because it was really absorbing Chen Xiaoya's lifespan, and the result was that it absorbed her troubles at that time. At that time, the little stutter also mistakenly thought it was yang energy, and the result was obviously different. If it was absorbing yang energy, then there would be golden smoke. What we saw at that time was absorbing black smoke. No wonder Chen Xiaoya ran to the food city and ate duck legs alone at noon. However, when she was indeed confused. So I couldn't resist this and directly let them run errands for me. The two little brats were even happier because they no longer had to hide in dark places and could be in the sun openly. Previously, it was because of the resentment of other companions and the duck mother that she could exist during the day, but at that time she suffered a piercing pain like 1,000 needles. A week passed and soon it was National Day. Hey little sisters, there is a new haunted house near my home. Do you want to play tomorrow? Anyway, we are going to play everywhere on the National Day. A voice was sent from the mobile phone. Huang Linjia opened a group of videos to invite everyone to play near their home during the National Day holiday, but everyone agreed to play in the haunted house near her home. After hanging the video, I lazily lay in bed, recalling the girl's appearance. It felt so familiar, but I couldn't remember it. I fell asleep and felt drowsy, so I fell asleep again. Gradually, I felt like I had arrived at the place full of flowers. This time, I opened the coffin again, but the girl inside was missing. But when I turned around, the girl stood up and turned her back to me. However, a boy in the same red clothes appeared in front of her. The boy's dark long hair floated with this, and he smiled and reached out his hand. The girl's body gently floated up, floating on the flowers. This scene was really frustrating for me as a single dog. Why do you invite me to come and show your affection? I held my hands in a huff and saw them show off, but at this moment, I saw the boy's face. Isn't this the groom who killed me in that dream? What's going on here? The young man in front of me was exactly the same as the man. Except for those eyes, the young man's eyes were different colors. At this time, he was black. Just when I wanted to run to scold the scum man, I suddenly felt something rubbing against my face. Paji raised his hand and slapped me on the face. He opened his eyes vaguely. I saw that the handsome face of the little stutter suddenly enlarged, which made me surprised. Then he gave him a slap and directly slapped him on the ground. Oh my God! Fate! Fate! You, bully people and families. What are you doing? They just want to wake you up to eat. Kneeling down and covering his face with tears, he looked so stunned that I couldn't handle it. But the little stutter said he asked me to eat. What time is it now? Pull out the phone next to the pillow and take a look. It's actually 7.30, have I slept for so long? Just lying down, that's just a little over. A dream takes about 6 hours to wake up. Younger sister. Get up and eat now. Mom is shouting outside at this moment, so I can't help but tidy up and hurry up. Leave only a small stutter in the room for him to act. Humph. Who said I bullied him? Wait. How did it feel a bit familiar when my little stuttering face approached just now? But I can't remember it. After thinking for a while, I didn't mind chatting with my parents after dinner. At 10 o'clock, wash up and go to bed. The next morning, on the day of National Day. It's like a sea of people. The streets on the road are bustling. All people. We started gathering near the park early in the morning. There are too many lively places far ahead. We first went to buy some food and drank some milk tea, and when it was almost noon around 10 o'clock, we arrived at the haunted house. There was a woman with a disheveled hair decorating it, and screams could be heard inside. Then, the couple ran out with some friends. Ha ha ha, it looks very exciting. Chen Xiaoya said with a smile as she flipped back and forth. Others also saw this. Today, everyone was wearing very casual clothes, but I was stuttering with a spirit. Alright, hurry up and buy the tickets, otherwise there will be a sea of people after 10 o'clock and you won't want to go in. After saying that, everyone prepared their phones and bought tickets one by one. Then we lined up, not to mention, this summer, going to haunted houses to cool down. I think most young people have this idea, and we started walking in one by one. My mom, I think it's so scary, Chen Xiaoya began to make trembling sounds as soon as she entered the door. Then we all started making fun of her. We hadn't even walked in yet. As soon as we stepped in, we felt a chill in the back, while Zayazuba was worried and sat on my shoulder. Fortunately, he wasn't very heavy. Compared to the physical doll, Zayazuba weighed at most 29 yuan and was very light. Spiritual bodies are generally very light and light. Ouch. Did you have a lot of fun playing with her? On the big tree on the left side of the haunted house, the black figure was cold, and then the plum-colored lips slightly raised their charm and said. Just give you a gift, remember me. After speaking, the figure dissipated, and then a black smoke flew into the haunted house. At this time, we were still in the haunted house, squeezing each other and squeezing each other. These things inside the haunted house did have an impact on Chen Xiaoya and the others, while I stood behind them. After all, in places like haunted houses where yin energy is relatively heavy, people with high flame mountains are generally not affected, but if there is insufficient yang energy, they will go back to get sick. Therefore, in fact, in places like haunted houses, it is best for people with poor health not to enter. Woo-woo. As I walked, I pondered these questions, completely unaware that Chen Xiaoya and her companions were getting further and further away from me. Just as I was about to catch up, I heard a little boy crying in my ear. Oh my goodness, this is an adult bringing a child to play with and lose it, really. These adults are also too irresponsible. Although the haunted house is dark, I still followed the little red light and the sound as I walked. The hallway inside the haunted house is very narrow, basically only 3 people can walk side by side, and the rest can only follow behind. However, the narrow hallway that started as a hole gradually became spacious inside the house, and suddenly felt a bit ominous. There was something fishy going on, so it could be said that this is a haunted house. That kind of thing is most loved in such dark and humid places, but the more you walk, the more spacious the road becomes. At this moment, I can't think much about it. Stuttering. Are you next to me? I tried to ask. Then I turned my head and saw that this guy was not on my shoulder. Damn it, this guy must have escaped from the battlefield. This dog is too much of a pit, isn't it? I don't even know where I went at this time. Why do you always target her? Just because it's her reincarnation. At this moment, the little stutter was grabbed by the mysterious man, who smiled and looked at the little doll in front of him, who had transformed into this kind of person. It was really ridiculous. Why are you just watching the show? I continued walking, only to see an eerie silence here. The little boy's crying just now came to an abrupt end. Damn it, he had once again fallen into a trap. Damn it, I did hear a mysterious and strange voice. Don't take it seriously, and I secretly scolded myself for being a troublemaker. At that time, but it was not suitable to stay here for long, and I couldn't leave. Remember to be impulsive about anything, damn it. Seeing that the person he was longing for was in danger, the little stutter struggled again. This time, the mysterious man did not stop him again and released his hand. The little stutter quickly flew over. Sure enough, this person's purpose is to want Mo Nyang to die here, because this is a magnetic field gathered by the resentment of ghosts, which ordinary people cannot enter. They only hope that Ling Nyang is safe now and must wait for me. That child, are you still there? The house suddenly began to change, and then the scene inside the room immediately became a floating broken limb in the air. In an instant, a baby cried, with the smell of disinfectant, and in some places, there was even a hint of rotten odor, which continued to appear before my eyes. A putrid stench came again, followed by a woman wearing red glasses with beads falling out in front of me, her broken calves dragging towards me with her ankles attached. Lying in bed, the woman in red clothes with her eyeballs falling outside pounced on me, her mouth opening and closing as she said, "It smells so good, ah. It's a flower that can heal the spiritual body." Her mouth also overflowed with black, foul-smelling liquid, which flowed onto me like this. The foul smell made my stomach churn at this moment. After the ghost finished speaking, she bit into my shoulder, and in an instant, her blood stained the floor and walls red. Ah! Let go of me. The pain made me struggle. If I don't struggle anymore, I'm willing to die. What else would I want to smell so good? I'm not Tang monk's meat, TMD. Why don't you let go of me? Sister, I'm not Tang monk's flesh. The female ghost saw me prick and bite even harder, feeling like she was really going to eat me all. How could I be eaten by such a thing? With an inexplicable force, I lifted the female ghost with all my might, and she was instantly thrown onto the ceiling by me. I stared fiercely at the female ghost in front of me. At this moment, the female ghost was still flowing my blood in her mouth, and as she stared at the blood, she became increasingly angry. Yes, Tiger didn't show any strength and treated me like a sick cat, right? At this moment, the female ghost was shocked and stuck on the ceiling for half a day without regaining consciousness. Dust returns to dust, soil returns to soil, the root of sin. Go directly to that place to receive the punishment you deserve. Suddenly, this sentence appeared in my mind, and I followed along with it by some strange means. I saw a bright red flower blooming next to the female ghost, directly wrapped in it, and then ignited a flame. The female ghost was instantly burned and disappeared. Chapter 9. Peach blossoms bloom young and dance in the sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it. I almost died because of it. I saw that the female ghost had already been burned to the ground. I collapsed and then gasped for breath. Unexpectedly, the words in my mind could really kill this female ghost. I couldn't have had this ability before. When did it start? Number 34, Fate. Fate. The little stutter flew over and saw the girl lying limp on the ground, surprised that the patterns on her face were getting darker and darker. Due to the light, the little stutter quickly stopped feeling surprised and continued to focus on the injured girl. I saw a big wound on her shoulder. I'm fine. Stuttering. Let's go quickly. After finishing speaking, I pressed down on the wound in pain and began to explore and leave. I was also afraid that my roommates outside would worry, and I inexplicably kept being attacked. I didn't want to be like this for a lifetime. Seeing this, I stuttered and quickly sat down, on my right shoulder, because I was bitten on my left side. I followed a previous spot of light and walked out smoothly. It turned out that after the female ghost was extinguished, the illusion created by her magnetic field was also shattered. My little fate, why did you walk away with us and scare us to death? You almost called the police. Chen Xiaoya was the first to pounce upon me as soon as she saw me come out, hugging me directly. It hurts so much. What's wrong, Xiaoyuanyuan? Where's the pain? After speaking, the girl let go and carefully looked at me, then continued, did you bump into something? Look at your face so bad. It turned out that they couldn't see my wound, and there was a faint red scent on their shoulders. But when I thought about it, it was true. After all, I wasn't bitten by ordinary things, but in order not to make them worry, I followed her and said, yes. It's all your fault. You ran so fast. And then I chased after you, but I slipped and bumped into the floor a lot. That's why I rested inside for a while longer. After that, I lifted my hand and pinched Chen Xiaoya's face before starting to knead it. The others also let go of their worries, and I endured playing with them until the afternoon, each going home. In a blink of an eye, the National Day holiday had passed. Before that, when I returned home, I immediately searched online for information about the blooming flowers that appeared in that moment. It was easy to check, but fortunately, it was the legendary flower of the underworld. In legend, the other bank flower is a red flower that grows by the river in the underworld. It blooms on Huangquan Road and guides souls who have left the human world to the underworld. It has magical powers that can awaken the souls of the deceased, stimulate their memories and emotions during their lifetime. But it is also considered an ominous thing because its existence is always accompanied by death and pain. There is a saying about the other side flower, which is considered a sacred flower in Buddhism, symbolizing the realm of transcendence from the mortal world. In the underworld, it is the existence of summoning souls and crossing spirits, which is also said in other countries. However, I still have a puzzled expression on my face. Why would I summon that kind of thing myself? What's going on? Destiny. Destiny. Little Stubba has been like this lately, and his love has been disappearing from time to time. He usually spends time by his side, and I don't know what he's doing lately. But thinking about it, it's also his freedom. Am I a bit verbose about being an old lady? Oh, it's okay. By the way, little Stutter. Do you know the other side flower? Out of curiosity, I threw this question at little Stutter, but his eyes began to dodge a bit. I know a little bit about this one, too. But do I know a lot too? By the way. Lingling Nyang, I have something to do. After speaking, I flew out towards the window. Stuttering has been a bit strange lately. Good guy. There shouldn't be anything shameful about it. Seeing my stuttering fly out of the window, out of curiosity, I'll just take a look, it's not tracking. As I spoke, I also got up and put on my clothes. I followed out and walked about 1 kilometer. My house was just a small courtyard, and when I walked out with my left hand, there was a small earthen mound. When I walked down, there was a small field ladder. Why did little Stubborn come to this place? With doubts in his heart, he followed up again. 1 kilometer later, he saw this guy looking left and right. I saw the little Stutter turn on his left side and disappear. Strange. Where did this thing go? Did you see yourself being discovered by him? But it's unlikely. After all, I'm hiding so well. Ha ha ha. Then I'll take a left and right look around here. I still haven't noticed this guy. I had no choice but to go home on my own, feeling disheartened. After the National Day holiday ended, students returned to campus one after another. After everyone returned to the dormitory, they were all discussing some gossip, either about what they had met or what others had met, and I also enjoyed listening to it. In the afternoon, we all agreed with different plans to go to the food city. Seeing everyone looking so happy, I think so. After all, we are young girls and love to eat is also our nature. Then we arrived at the food city. I glanced up at the sky, and obviously there was no more black energy like before. Although the duck spirit was still doing this, she has been constantly letting those two little ghosts haunt me lately. When the two freshmen saw their mother rushing towards them like flying, I was really speechless. I used to make enough noise with a small stutter, but now there are two more little ghosts, it's really killing me even more. Mom! Mom! Lin Xiaoxing and Lin Xiaoqi shouted happily and rushed into Lin Shu's arms. This duck spirit, also known as a duck monster, was transformed from a spirit body due to resentment. However, it is not very strong now and cannot be exposed to the sun frequently, otherwise it is easy to be injured. Moreover, she can change her gender freely, and the two little ghosts are souls. Later, with my help, she transformed from a spirit to a spirit that can exist in the low sun. That's strange to me, why would this happen? At this moment, Lin Shu saw us coming and warmly greeted us to come in and sit down. However, this time she no longer opened a duck leg shop and switched to a milk tea shop. Fortunately, we were all amazed when we entered. The small storefront was exquisitely decorated, with a faint pink round table and the girl's favorite decoration. It was simply amazing. However, when we sat down, everyone had a great conversation, and I sat next to him, looking at him. Sister, can we follow you? After that day, the next morning, I was almost scared out of bed by such a sound. Damn it, when I regained my senses, I saw these two creatures appear on my bed, one in front of me and the other floating above me. Then the faces of the two delicate little dolls approached, blinking their innocent big eyes. Originally, because Lin Shu wanted to help the two little ones reincarnate before, but to give up such things, they searched for a long time and didn't give up on anyone until they met me. Then someone wearing black clothes said that my body and soul are containers for thousands of years. So that night they made up their minds to take away my body. After hearing this, how come this guy is so similar to the female ghost in the haunted house? I'm not Tang Monk's flesh. Later on, the two little guys even tried to be cute and coquettish to stay by my side, combing my hair and so on. Seeing such a lovely child like this, wouldn't it be a bit heartless for me, the older sister, to refuse? After a moment of thought, it would be better to have these two little brats now, and they could be considered friends. I agreed to it, but unexpectedly, the first difference was that I didn't say anything about my stuttering. Now the three spirits are constantly arguing. I don't want you to get close to fate. Little stuttered as he looked at the two little brats next to me. Flying towards them, wanting to run them away, the two little brats flew towards each other and stuttered heavily as they saw this. This situation has made me laugh to death. However, in the eyes of others, I appear so strange. The morning after returning from vacation. Hey! Did you hear that? The teacher in today's open class changed to a beautiful woman. As soon as we entered the classroom, we heard those classmates whispering and discussing quietly. I believe many people have this habit. No matter what we do in class, we always like to enter on time. Haha, we just stepped into the classroom and sat down. It smells so good. I smelled it as soon as I sat down, just like the blooming peach blossom fragrance. But now it's summer, how could there be peach blossoms? But I sniffed hard. At first, I thought it was a girl's perfume, but it was different from perfume. Hey! Did you smell the fragrance of peach blossoms? I was puzzled and asked Xiaoya next to me, but they all said they didn't smell it. This is strange. At this time, after ringing the class bell, a gentle and elegant woman with small fried dough twists braids on both sides of the front came in. She was very gentle and elegant without losing her femininity. Holding a book in my hand, as soon as I entered, it felt like a young lady from an idol drama. However, I realized that the fragrance of peach blossoms emanated from this teacher. After finishing the morning's class, there was no class in the afternoon. I went to the food city by myself to find Yu Xingyan, wanting to ask her about the black-clothed man. Why is this guy targeting me? I'm not Tang Sengfu. Let them take away my body. Now I feel like the female ghost in red was also arranged by him. Thinking of this makes me particularly angry. Sooner or later, if this guy is caught by me, I will definitely make him look good. This statement goes on until night, and stuttering is also a frequent disappearance of my old love recently. I haven't seen this guy's ghost all day today. But fortunately, there are two little brats around me, so I don't feel embarrassed when I come alone. However, time also arrived late at night, after thanking Yu Xingyan. She also asked me to rest with her at that time, but my own brain twitched and I refused. Now when I think about it, I really want to beat myself up late at night. The campus was pitch black. Various strange-shaped spirits floated everywhere on the road. Suddenly, a white mist appeared in the center of the open space in front of the administrative building. The mist gradually spread and formed a strange humanoid silhouette. At this moment, a student walked up from a distance and I saw this humanoid silhouette, feeling a bit uneasy and puzzled. Immediately after, another student also saw the silhouette of the figure, and my curiosity drove me into the mist. But as I approached, I gradually realized that the silhouette of this figure was getting more and more out of place. It didn't seem like a real person, but rather a terrifying thing. These two students began to feel scared, and I decided to leave here as soon as possible and seek help. But when I turned around and wanted to leave, I found that I could no longer escape this mysterious mist, and the terrifying silhouette of the human figure became increasingly clear. But then suddenly, bursts of peach blossom fragrance came, followed by the white mist dispersing and peach blossom petals fluttering in the sky. What's going on? Watching the peach blossoms fluttering in the sky, I couldn't help but feel a bit familiar. However, on a large tree ahead, a graceful woman was clutching two clouds of mist in the dark. Due to the branches blocking her face, I couldn't see her clearly. Just as I was about to ask who she was, the petals that appeared out of thin air wrapped around her figure and disappeared into place, leaving only the peach blossoms dancing in the sky. Chapter 10. Do you want a sword? Do you want to be cheap? You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.